Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I want to kind of pivot to what this means. Like, kind of, I don't want to say political ramifications, but it kind of is. California is seeing 2,000 jobs initially. Now, honestly, none of us believe that that's going to stay that number. Obviously, they're going to move more over to Florida.
You don't build a whole campus for 2,000 jobs, all right? I'm just going to put it out there.
Right, exactly. They're not going to build this huge campus for 2,000 jobs. More are going to be shipped over to Lake Nona for sure. Dre, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on the political ramifications in terms of, and I'm not even talking Democrat, Republican, I'm just saying like in terms of California and Florida, like what do you think this means for, like, do you think California and even the city of Anaheim are sort of sitting up and noticing, hey, look, we're kind of losing these Disney jobs that were really secure here for decades. Are they noticing that? Do they not care? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting because, you know, we know some people online who interact with us on a frequent basis and who are, I would say, kind of, I guess they would say that they were kind of defensive of California, but really they're kind of California apologists. And as a result, you know, it's like, oh, you know, because we had kind of mentioned before, like in previous streams, and I think you had a couple of videos on this where it was like, if they could move Disneyland right now out of the state, they would.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just played up. Obviously, they can't, but that's what they would like to do. And we've been saying that for years. So to George's point, yeah, this has been a discussion for a long time because the cost of doing business in California is substantially higher than it is in Florida. So it makes sense from their perspective, and to a certain extent, it makes sense for the people moving out there. Now, obviously, wages will be adjusted and so forth. I believe the starting wage, I think Orlando Sentinel had this figure where the starting wage kind of for these positions moving over was $120,000 plus. And if you times just that number by 2,000, we're talking about $240 million here in terms of annual income for these people. So that's a huge tax base that just left California, and that's a significant number. And I think Burbank, I think Glendale, I think Anaheim, I think the whole Southern California market is put on notice. Disney's huge. They've been in California since the 1920s.
Right.
I mean, this is a massive shift here, and without question, they're looking at this and going, oh, gee, I mean, should we be incentivizing businesses to come over? I know to your point, Orange Grove, you brought up the negotiations with Disneyland Forever, and I think to your point, I think that kind of speaks to that, a little bit. That kind of ties into it a little bit. This is a substantial move, and California has lost a lot of businesses. Toyota moved their headquarters to Texas, even before this, and then Silicon Valley is moving out and all kinds of stuff. They're taking notice for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they are, and I think that this definitely gives, whether it was on purpose or whether it's even indirectly, I do think it gives Disneyland Forward a little bit of leverage because, Imagineering is kind of the machine that sort of fuels Anaheim. And Anaheim is probably sitting there going, wow, you know what? I mean, Disney's getting real serious about Orlando. If we don't kind of give them what they want, if we don't kind of pony up a little bit, they might completely kind of fall back on their ambition here in Anaheim. We'll see what happens. George, what are your thoughts on this in terms of do you think California is noticing this? Do you think they're saying, hey, look, we're losing 2,000 Disney jobs that were really, really secure here for the past few years or past few decades, actually? Do you think they're noticing this, or do you think they're kind of brushing it off, or what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the city of Anaheim and the state of California in general, they're not dumb. They know what's going on, and it's almost like Disney's desperation a little bit, but very subtle, but also using like a reverse psychological method. That they started off with Disneyland Forward, and Disney actually created a website that you could actually search on a search engine. They actually put effort into making this website, and then you have this notion of, okay, now we're going to take 2,000 California jobs, that's including Walt Disney Imagineering, that is basically the arm of the parks division as far as creation and implementing an expansion of the parks. So then you attach that to Disneyland Forward, and it's basically Disney giving the city of Anaheim these little pokes, little digs to say, you know what, if you're not going to make the first move, we're going to.
Right.
And now you have to react to those decisions. And I really think that Anaheim, the city of Anaheim, has to wake up at some point to say that Disneyland is still relevant. It's, if you take Disneyland out of Anaheim, you basically just have Harbor Boulevard and Catella Avenue. That's basically what you have.
It becomes Fullerton or Torrance or any other city in LA. I mean, it's no longer. Yeah, exactly.
You guys are telling me you guys don't want to go to the Wolf Creek Lodge?
Well,
I mean, in the #1 indoor swimming pool in Southern California. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, man.
Rudio, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, is California noticing? Is Anaheim noticing? Or is this kind of...
Radio, before you go, I just have to say, I'll go to that as long as there's a bus transportation to the nearest Denny's. Then I'm good.
Considering we don't even have trams from the Disneyland parking lot to Disneyland, I don't know if that's going to be attainable. But like, I mean, it's no secret, Newsom and Disney they're butting heads. The fact that Newsom showed up to Universal the day that Disneyland reopened, I mean, kind of telling sign right there. And the fact that we're getting Disney put out the proposal last summer or around that time for Disneyland Forward, and the fact that they, like George said, made a website, and people who live in the community in the surrounding area of Disneyland, they were sent a package of all of the materials as far as what would be proposed for this expansion. They went that far to do something like that, and I hope Disneyland Forward goes forward. No pun intended. But the fact that that there's still a war, there's still a war in the silence, that it's just not publicly known. But these people, hopefully Disney and California can just put egos aside and say, look, we appreciate you. We know what you do for the state, and we just want to have that relationship that we had prior to the pandemic, that we can both exist in California and
right,
not have to have these opinions and whatnot. And that Disney to California is just, you see it in the commercials, you see it on the Visit California or Visit Southern California. Disneyland is in the forefront of those commercials every time they put one out. And to say that California doesn't care about Disney, they so care about Disney. It's just right now they're just not in the best space with each other.